There's no exciting big tractors, is there? And roaring up the road and the field, there's nothing.
But there is an iPad that you can control your farm from
That doesn't
a
excite
beach
me.
somewhere.
Oh, okay. You got me now.
Cocktail in hand.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Monitoring your basil.
I could sit in Dubai, couldn't I? And look at my 200 tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I'm buying in. Buying in. Air fresheners, and he wants me to do a sniff test to see these.
Scratch and sniff.
How many have you got?
32.
32? So he wants me to smell 32 air fresheners to see which ones we're going to put on the shop.
Which one relates best to...
Yeah. Is there an Old Spice one? Oh my god!
Excellent. I'm sure there's one that smells of sort of diesel.
Diesel.
One of
smell like a real farmer.
Tires and things. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Wednesday, the 12th of November. We're up in Scotland, so we're on sort of day 2 or sort of 1.5. We've got Greg, who's hiding behind. He's our chaperone. Greg Beard from the Agrii. He's been with Agrii 22 years. I will get him in the camera at some point. And I've got Georgie Lee here from Agriis, is that right?
Intelligent Growth Solutions.
And we're actually at the James Hutton Institute, but as I've just learned, that actually this part of the building has nothing actually to do with the James Hutton Institute.
So we're an independent company. We are a technology manufacturer. We make vertical farming technology.
So we've come to look at vertical farming here, and the extraordinary thing is it's a big tall building from the outside, and we got into an airlock part at the beginning. So they opened the door, and it's like literally we're going into some kind of a space thing here, where it's airlock and then positive air coming in, and then we're going to go into these chambers, one for a better word, which are 6 stories high. Is that what you say?
So it's 9 meters high, so about the height of a 3-story building.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have we got growing in them?
A real mix of stuff in this particular tower. So this tower isn't really how you would have it set up for a commercial use, but we've got a real mix of all sorts of different crops. So everything from herbs and leafy greens, we've got edible flowers, we've got tree seedlings, we've got some strawberry seedlings in here. This is a little bit of a showcase of everything that we can do within a vertical farming environment. It's not just herbs and leafy greens, which I think most people associate with vertical farming.
Yeah. So hold on, just before you run off in there, because it's quite noisy, isn't it?
It is, yes.
So Tom's going to complain about the sound. So this particular building is VC funded, from what you told me.
It is, yes.
So how many partners are actually involved in making this happen?
So we've got a conglomerate of 7 different investors that have invested in IGS over the last 10 years or so, along with lots of independent investors as well.
So how long has this building physically been in place and functioning?
This site was opened in 2018. At that point there were just the 4 towers at the front here, so since then we've stuck on 2 additional towers.
Oh, so this bit here is, okay.
It's a big part of what makes our system a little bit different from other competitor vertical farming systems. The towers are each individually built and they're modular in the way that they're constructed. So a customer can, in theory, build 4 and then expand out and get bigger and bigger and bigger without ever interrupting the existing growing operations. There's also a lot of other really important factors to why we grow in this way and why we keep the towers modular, and that's us make sure that we're keeping pests and diseases at bay. So we're very, very tightly controlled in our modularity. It means that we're only ever controlling the air temperature for an individual tower rather than a whole facility. It also
and you're controlling light as well, is that right?
Yeah, so the lights are controlled at tray level there, actually. Okay. So each tray has an independent recipe.
So it's not the entire area. You'll actually do it. Okay.
Yeah. So when we go inside, I can show you. But the tray above essentially controls the environment for the tray below.
Yeah.
So each tray is driven according to a software-based recipe. So the grower or the farmer sets up that recipe. They say, I want to grow this particular crop in this particular way with this particular outcome. And they do that based on a tray-based recipe.
Okay.
That's controlled automatically. So everything is delivered from the fertigation, so the nutrients in the water, through to the lighting recipe. And that can be changed dependent on the period of growth that a particular crop's in, the type of crop that you're growing, the actual outcomes that you want to deliver as well. So we can change very basic things like the way that a leaf looks just by changing some of the lighting or the nutrition that we're delivering.
So are you actually, is this a mat already with the seedlings planted into it?
No.
Or are we actually using something like compost or peat or something like that?
Yeah, so when we go inside we can show you. Most of what we grow here is coir. Actually you can see behind us. So we grow in fairly traditional propagation trays with most typically will grow within a coir style material. The medium that
Sorry,
we're growing
just to be
in
clear,
depends
what is
hugely.
coir?
It's a waste product of the coconut industry. So it's the coconut husks
Oh right. What, completely crushed up?
Yeah. So
Well, and there's a nutrient or an ability for things to grow
it's a
within
soil
that.
replacement, yeah. A little bit
Crumbs.
like any other kind of medium. So you can get things like artificial replacements like grow foam.
Yeah.
They operate in a very similar way. The coconut coir
And
is
it's
obviously a
consistent
byproduct.
environmentally when you dispose of it. Is it one use only?
Yeah, so it's fully compostable
Yeah,
at end of
okay.
life, but it is
And
typically
so
single.
there's the first limitation, is that you happen to get coconut
Yeah.
shells. So there must be, I can't believe that there's an infinite supply of
There
this.
isn't, and that is a challenge that we're looking at tackling at the moment. It used to be a waste product of the coconut water industry, and there was huge amounts of it available, and it was one of those products that was kind of widely available, very minimally used. Now, with people bringing in limitations around the use of peat particularly, and particularly in commercial greenhouse growing, that's becoming more challenging because other people are switching over to using coconut coir. So we're actively
Has
researching
it created
other-
a value for the coconut growers
It
now?
has, yeah. So the coconut coir is becoming the commodity material rather than
interesting.
the milk, which is interesting. It's
What,
that
so
kind of
actually it's
reverse.
becoming the primary
Yeah.
rather than the secondary?
Yeah.
How extraordinary.
Yeah, and that's all
So
due to peat.
environmentally though, are people now going to get to a stage where they're going to start breeding coconuts purely for this purpose and less so for the milk?
I can't imagine so. I think that there will be a different medium that will be found that's a very viable alternative, and we're actively looking at those at
Okay.
the moment. There's loads of different ones.
So
rock wool, grow foam.
you're planting these robotically or by hand?
On this particular site, we do a mixture. It depends on the size of seed. We have a very standard seeding line outside that I can show you. That's just a really standard industry seeding line that fits in with the prop trays. They move through, and the seeds are automatically planted. I was saying to Greg earlier, it depends on the scale of a customer's operation. We as a business don't grow commercially ourselves. We use this site purely for research and development, and we sell the machines. Depending on the size of our customers' operations will depend on
So
the amount of
actually the
automation.
purpose of this facility is to prove for your machines work.
Exactly, yeah.
So you are effectively almost like a sales house where people can come and see
And that's why
say, okay,
Inside
is that
this
the
tower,
entire
you'll
building
see a
as
really
well?
weird mix of different crops that would never commercially exist alongside one another. But it's a really great opportunity for us to showcase exactly what you can grow in a vertical farm, and more importantly, what you can't, because you can't grow everything in an environment like this.
So the purpose of this is this to replace a farmer?
No, absolutely not.
What is the purpose of it?
So a lot of our customers are looking to replace imports, and that's a big part of what they're working towards.
Okay.
We've
As in customers, sorry, to be clear on this, is this for direct customers almost the supermarket?
So our customers typically tend to be suppliers to the supermarkets, not the
Okay.
supermarkets themselves.
Yeah.
So we kind of exist within the supply chain as a supplier to the suppliers.
Okay.
They're then producing crops that go to the ultimate end consumer. So you or I going to the supermarket and buying for our plates.
Do you think you could foresee tea being grown in this type of facility?
It would depend. We've got some coffee plants growing in this one at the
Have you?
moment. Yep.
So where do you actually see the growth for your business? What is the crop that people are going to jump into and suddenly, there's a big demand for it and we're going to
I'm
start
going to give
seeing...
you the politician's answer and say that it really depends. It depends on the market that you're selling into. So a big part of the conversation that we have with each customer that approaches us saying, I want a vertical farm, is why? And what are you going to grow and where are you going to grow it?
Yeah.
Is there a market for the product that you're actually wanting to produce? Or are you trying to get technology because it's cool? Because that doesn't commercially work. It doesn't stand up for the customer, but it also doesn't stand up for us. If we've got customers that are saying, I just want the technology because it's new and interesting, and they can't ultimately make it work viably in a commercial sense, that doesn't work for us either. So it's a massive
because you
part.
think it might devalue what you're trying to achieve because
If a
people say,
customer
I've tried it,
fails-
didn't work. Yeah,
If a
okay.
customer fails, then it's an enormous knock-on impact on us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we want our customers to be successful. That's a really big part of
What
our
about
success.
government level? Are government actually looking at this saying, I think this is a viable solution? Interesting. Because I mean, I know as farmers, we talk a lot about food security and what we believe our role is in that. Is this, one for a better word, is this being looked at as almost a replacement of food security?
I think it's part of that whole food security play. So if we look at the last 5 years as a really notable example, we've seen massive supermarket shortages over the last 2 to 3 years even in things like salads and leafy greens. There was swathes of cucumbers missing from shops over the last few years.
Yeah.
And that is a lot in part due to inclement weather.
Yes.
So just an inability to foresee what
Because
the
you
weather's
don't have
actually
that, of
gonna do.
course. You can
We don't.
control
So
the weather.
every day is the perfect day in here. But what we're not trying to do is replace traditional ways of growing. What we are trying to do is work alongside agriculture and ultimately make it more sustainable, more efficient.
Is this, could I say that this is a greater risk for non-European crops?
Potentially, yes.
Because of the type of crops you're going to be growing.
Yeah.
So if you are, for example, Dubai and Doha, these places which are up and coming, full of tourism, etc., surrounded by desert, do you think they will start looking at this technology, these type of buildings, embracing this and saying, actually, we're not going to be so reliant on
it's a huge
import.
market for us, as we're looking at actually where our customer base is. They've got enormous swathes of land that aren't useful for traditional agriculture. They aren't able to be that kind of traditional field because it's all desertified.
Yeah.
They don't have the water, but what they do have is a huge amount of sunlight. So they've got ready energy, and that's a big challenge of what we're doing here. Make no bones about it.
Huge amount of energy.
Usage
Yes,
is
of course.
our
Yes.
biggest
Yeah.
single expense when you're operating a site
And
like this.
currently today, would the energy be a greater cost than the benefit?
No, it depends how you set it up.
Okay.
If you
Because
set
we're
it up
in
when
Scotland, and this
Yeah.
wouldn't be known as the place for solar panels as such, would
It wouldn't, but it would be for wind power. So
Okay, of course,
Scotland is
yeah.
a
So wind and
predominantly
batteries,
renewable
yeah.
powered country. I believe that Scotland is actually 100% wind powered at its best. Obviously, we
So
still
actually, in
have,
that sense, is a good environment for these
Yeah.
towers. Okay, that's interesting.
the challenge is always around the cost to get started and the appetite for actually getting going.
Yeah.
There are huge advantages to growing in this way.
Will it become completely automated with
So
robotics from start to
everything within
finish?
the tower is completely automated at the moment. Everything outside the tower, so these
Where we
trays
stand
you'll
now.
see at the moment, they are moved around on manual
But
trolleys.
I'm sure that could be automated.
Absolutely,
So-
and it depends on the size of the customer's operation. So if you're operating 200 of these towers, you're going to have to automate outside the tower.
Yeah.
So robots will be able to move these trays around. They will go into robotic seeding lines. They will go into automated harvesting lines, onto automated packaging lines, and into trucks and taken out automatically. On this site particularly, we don't have any of that because it doesn't make commercial sense. We've got an automated seeding line and we've got the beginnings of automated harvesting lines that our engineers are working on, but it's not something that's a priority for us because for us the priority for this site is getting the science really absolutely bob on.
So obviously there is talk about space again. Elon Musk, for example, he's driving those discussions going forward. I'm assuming if you've got space stations, and this is the type of technology which is going to be looked upon to start feeding people.
Potentially, within those environments, the big challenge is always going to be gravity. So if you're having a water-based system, gravity is going to play havoc with that, as it is with any plant that's growing in a traditional manner. But absolutely, there are applications for vertical farming in an off-Earth environment. Yeah.
And the quality of water. So, for example, if you are building these in the desert and you're using desalination plants from the sea, is that actually a problem in trying to make these crops
It is,
grow?
And it's a big challenge. What we do is, so once we've got the water to the adequate quality that we want, whether that's through treatments, however we manage to get there, all of the water that comes into this facility is continually reused. So it's about 95 to 98% dependent on the crop, more efficient than growing in a field. Because everything that comes into the trays is sent
98%.
upstairs.
Just say that again.
98% more efficient
More
in
efficient.
water
Oh,
usage.
in water use. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about time?
All goes upstairs.
Can you decrease the amount of time?
We can decrease and also weirdly increase dependent on what you're actually looking for.
What, by altering the light?
Yeah, so by altering the light, by altering the nutrition, we can play around with the number of
Speed
days
up,
that it
slow
takes.
down.
Exactly. And there are a number of reasons that you might want to speed up or slow down something. You might want to just produce as much as you can, as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Or actually, there might be benefits to slowing
You're
it down.
overproducing.
So what we've seen with trees, for example, is actually they were growing too quickly and they were growing tall and leggy. If you slow that down a little bit,
they get
you
stronger.
get much stronger trunk growth, and the actual end product is much more able to survive things like pests in the outside world. So whether that
of
in
course,
Scotland
pests
be
for
deer or
you in here, you don't have
non-existent. No.
Is that because you are spraying an insecticide, or is it because of this airlock situation for you prevented them getting in?
There are no herbicides, fungicides, pesticides used within this environment.
Wow, so it's completely organic.
It is. Well, it's not organic, and that's a bit of a challenge for us because we're not growing in soil. Organic status in the UK is controlled by the Soil Association, so this is not organic. But it is
I
in
understand.
terms of the way that we're
Yeah,
growing. There's
yeah.
no chemicals that are used, no harmful chemicals. We use fertilizers, obviously, in order to provide the nutrients that the plants need.
I mean, look, we haven't put white suits
We
on,
haven't.
okay?
And this wouldn't
and,
be-
and I know we came into a door and it
Yeah.
opened up and it did its thing.
Yeah.
But it's up and it's opening and closing all the time. There's
Yeah.
people everywhere. It's constant movement. We've got people here, haven't we?
Yeah. So
It can't
this wouldn't
be that
reflective-
clinically.
This wouldn't be reflective of a commercial environment.
Okay.
The food that we produce here is not food safe.
Right.
And that is actually quite deliberate. This is
Yeah.
a research centre.
Yeah.
So the way that we operate this, we deliberately stress test it.
Okay.
We have taken this to the nth degree. If you and I can wander
Yeah.
into here
Yeah.
and the plants are not affected, we have never had a major outbreak of anything within this environment. And it's purely down to the airlock. We have...
What I'm amazed by is the fact that you are not having to use any kind of chemical
Yeah.
intervention. I mean, that is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
I've often wondered, when you look at illnesses and cancers and things like that,
Yeah.
how much of it is attributed to food. When you look at the back of it, all the numbers
Yeah.
and everything was on there. Of course, this hasn't been running long enough, and you'd have to have people kept in an environment almost, wouldn't you, where they weren't exposed
Where
to
they're
anything
solely
else.
exposed to
They
that,
couldn't
yeah.
nip out for a can of Diet Coke, for example. And, so I'm fascinated to know what the health benefits long term are, or whether they're positive or negative,
So
interestingly.
we don't know in the long term, to be totally
Yeah.
honest. It's probably quite important to state that actually we're not operating in a complete clean room environment,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that microorganisms are really important in an environment like
Okay.
this. So even the koya that we were talking about earlier,
Yeah, it's not
that comes with
sterilised.
things in it. No.
Yeah.
So we treat it and we make sure that we're getting rid of all of the worst of what it might come with, but we're not sterilising it in any way. Some of those microorganisms are really, really important to
Oh, how
maintain.
interesting. So actually, if you were to sterilise,
Nothing would grow.
Yeah,
Fundamentally, things need...
fascinating. So
A
it
lot
cannot
of
be.
those
It
organisms to
almost
grow.
cannot be clinical.
No, and it can't. But it can be food safe,
Yeah,
clean.
yeah.
We don't operate in that because it means that you and I can go into the tower shortly and I can show you actually what we're doing.
Yeah.
But it is quite important that on a customer site they would be able to operate in that kind of...
Where do you think your limitation is? Is it
We've got
monetary?
a couple of limitations. Getting financing for projects is challenging at the
Yeah.
moment. People aren't willing to take a risk necessarily on technology that hasn't been proven on a massive commercial scale. So up until we've got those big commercial sites up and running, I think we'll see a domino effect once those are up and running.
Okay.
We've got a site that we're currently constructing in Dubai that will be 200 towers. So if you think about this,
Really?
6 tower setup.
Wow, so
multiply
you
it
are
by
actually building
an
something out
enormous
there.
factor. Yeah. So we've just this time last year actually broken ground in the desert outside Dubai as part of Dubai's Food Tech Valley. So that's really
Wow.
exciting. The first wave of
And you're providing
20
the
towers.
machinery?
Yeah.
So where do you manufacture the machinery?
So a lot of it is Scottish made, but it depends on the component parts. A lot of it, when I take you in there, a lot of the way that the machine has actually been constructed uses fairly standard industry parts. So the racking is made by a company called Dexian, and that's really standard industrial automation racking.
It looks like general racking. But you'd have it, yeah.
In a warehouse, for example, the lift that functions in the middle, so the lift moves up and down, it allows us to take the trays in and out, but it also allows us to deliver the water and nutrients. That's exactly the same as you would find in a warehousing environment
Yeah.
for a big industrial company as well. So
Is
there's
it
a lot
so-
of things that
are
we
you
borrowed.
are you still on a trial and error basis at the moment, where you're
No.
still learning?
We're still learning, and we're learning every day.
But you know
And
how to grow crops, and
We
you
know
know
how to
how,
grow
how much to
crops.
give them, how little to give them,
Yeah.
etc. Okay.
It depends on the crop. Sometimes we come across something and it behaves in a completely different way, and that's fascinating. But for the most part, we can do the fundamentals. Now what we're trying to do is actually, if we play with those recipes slightly, can we change something about the nutritional value of that crop? Can we increase the amount of a particular nutrient that actually that has in it? Can we actually boost the way that that crop provides, I don't know, vitamin D to an individual? Can we actually make it so that the flavour profile is different just by tweaking the light? So we're changing nothing about the genetics of
So
that
there is a
crop.
focus on taste.
There's a focus on taste, there's a focus on shelf life, there's a focus on quality as well. Because of the inability, or not the inability, the fact that we don't need to use pesticides and fungicides, you actually don't need to wash the produce either. So you're not having to
Oh,
wash
how
it with
interesting.
chlorinated water, which gives it a
Yeah.
long shelf life.
Yeah.
the other additional benefit on shelf life is that if you can grow close to your consumers, so if you can put a vertical farm in an urban environment, for example, you're not having to ship it huge amounts of distance. So you're taking away the food miles, but you're also taking away the time that it's been in transit.
Yeah, just talk to me about the cost. So when you look at this, are you sort of working on a per kilogram weight of the product,
as in the cost,
and the cost to grow it? What I'm interested in is you're putting 200 towers in Dubai. I bet that's a breathtaking amount of money.
Yeah, it is.
So, and you're going to get X number of harvests throughout the year. I'm just trying to, in my mind, establish whether actually you can get the cost lower with the model in the future, what you're trying to produce and what the standard model is of growing it.
It's a huge part of the work that the team on this site does. So they're constantly looking at boosting the yields, and we do that by a per square metre per annum.
Okay.
So dependent on the crop, you'll get a very different per square metre yield, obviously. But it depends on how many days under light that crop takes to grow as well.
Yeah.
So everything in this environment starts its life out in a really standard germination chamber. It's planted, it goes into basically a warmed out room, and then it comes into here and it grows under the lights. The number of days under lights varies from crop to crop. So basil, for example, is off the top of my head, 28 days.
Whatever the crop you take, do you believe you will be able to grow it cheaper than the traditional methods?
Again, it depends the environment that you're growing it in. So if you can get the energy cost at the right cost, if you can get the substrate and you can get the labour, then yes, absolutely. But all of those elements have to match in. So it's about doing this for the right reasons in the right environment.
Okay, so we're at the beginning of the journey yet.
Yeah,
okay.
And we are. And I think the team here would be very happy to say that we're also at the beginning of working out what these towers could actually do in the full scope of that.
Okay.
There's a huge amount that we can potentially do with strobing of lights, with pulsing of lights.
Yeah.
That we don't
I'm
totally
assuming these are
understand.
LED. Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're super efficient LEDs. They can deliver the entire spectrum of lights.
We'll just
at
have a
once.
quick look at
Yeah,
that one,
absolutely.
because it's probably not noisy in there, is it?
It's not too noisy at the moment, no. So you can, they're completely touch safe.
So this is the same as basically that?
Yeah.
So that actually would get lifted and slid into here?
Yes.
Okay.
So I can show you the mechanism by which they move.
And then these are the lights. They're only an LED strip light,
They
aren't
are,
they?
yeah. So they're super easy to replace and maintain as well. And that's a big part of the trays being removable. So the trays can come out of the tower. So in order to do any maintenance, you don't have to go into the tower.
That's as crude as a drain, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. A lot of it is really, really straightforward, really simple engineering in order to maximise the efficiency of how this
It looks
setup
more
works.
complicated, but when you stand here and start to get your eye in,
and that's kind of the idea, that it can be maintained easily, the parts are readily available globally, and that it's going to be easy to set up wherever in the world you happen to be.
I can see how you're going to have to make this robotically have in terms of doing all the work, because I bet
Once you get outside the tower that it becomes
really boring,
challenging.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's laborious work.
There's no exciting big tractors, is there? And roaring up the road and the field, there's nothing.
But there is an iPad that you can control your farm from
That doesn't
a
excite
beach
me.
somewhere.
That doesn't okay.
You
got
should be
me
sat
now.
cocktail in hand,
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
monitoring your basil.
I could sit in Dubai, couldn't I, and look at my 200 tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I'm buying in. Buying in. Oh, it's quite a nice smell, actually. That's the basil, isn't it?
That's the basil that you can smell, yeah.
They're actually not very deep, are they? They're not very big in that sense.
So they're about 6 meters squared each tray, so about the size of a traditional snooker table.
And this is just purely for electric?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the system
So this is the lift. So
Okay.
the lift basically works by moving up and down in the centre. It aligns itself with each tray, and it's really
Do
rudimentary.
you have to get up to slide the tray?
Not at all.
No.
So it can grab each tray, and we'll show you that in motion. But it aligns itself with the nozzle, shoots water and nutrients and fertigation
really?
mix into the tray, floods each tray, and then it's drained out the back through the nozzles that you pointed out earlier.
I'm amazed how when you start spending enough time in here, how simple it is.
And it, as I say, it's been very, very deliberately designed like that.
What's
So
this?
that's pak choy. So you're welcome to taste some of that.
What's this one?
That is, I think, baby pak choy actually.
Right,
I had thought from a distance it was
Let's have a
basil.
look then.
There's some rocket up there. We've also got some lettuce just here. Good, bad, ugly.
It's like eating oilseed rape. You feel like a pigeon.
It's not quite a steak. We'll pull a tray of basil down for you, and you can taste some of that because it tastes much better than any of this stuff.
It was an experience.
Not one you're keen to repeat. But while we're in here, I can show you a little bit about how the trays operate. So each tray controls the environment for the tray below.
Yeah. And
so
you set that height.
So the heights are standard. They're either 250 or 300 millimeters spaced between the tray, depending on the setup of the shelf.
You just didn't put one in between.
But yeah, so this is double spaced, and that allows the strawberry plants to grow a little bit taller.
Is that what they are?
They're strawberries, yeah. So
Interesting.
We're not growing them for fruit. We're growing them for the runners. So it's a really, really great way of producing new baby plants. So we have the mother plants that exist in here, and they're continually putting out the runners. We harvest the runners, and then they go into more traditional environments. So a greenhouse.
Either you're changing colour, or what I've just eaten is making me think you're changing colour.
It's the lights. It does a strange thing to your head after a little while. It's why we don't have people in this environment typically. But the towers are fully self-sufficient.
And the flowers?
So edible flowers, a lot of them, but we can grow all sorts, yeah. So we've got a couple of customers that have done things like flowers for the fragrance industry. We've also got customers looking at things like pharmaceuticals.
I could see why that would work.
Yeah, so Lily of the Valley, for example.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. But also pharmaceuticals, so things like speed breeding, different varieties to help with vaccine production.
Yeah.
Or, the standard question that we get asked is, can you grow cannabis in one of these? And yes, you can in theory. It just depends on the type of crop that you're looking to produce.
Yes, that would. Yes, I could see how that would work. Tell me about the heating. Is that all generated by electricity from air source heat pumps?
Yes, we don't need to do a huge amount of heating in these towers. A lot of what we do is taken from the excess heat that's produced by the LEDs. As you can see, they don't produce a huge amount. You can touch them, they're fully safe. They're not producing a huge amount of heat.
But that produces something, doesn't
it? But it produces something, and it just lets us recycle it through. So the HVAC is constantly running, and that's what the noise that you can hear around you is. And that's partly making sure that the temperature is maintained, but it also makes sure that we're taking any excess moisture out of the air. That's sent upstairs. It's all fully condensed, and then again
recirculated.
Yeah. So every bit of moisture is recirculated. The only water that ever leaves the site is in the plants themselves.
Okay.
So it is fully
and what about when you said you get rid of the base, where it's the peat or something, there must be moisture within that.
So that's all composted down, and then
and you can't find a way of reusing it.
We're looking into it, and we're trialing.
Seems like waste, doesn't it?
And it's one of the fundamental issues with any sort of
even
commercial
blending
growing.
with new.
It carries different microorganisms, and there's a challenge to that. So you would need to treat it. You'd need to be very, very careful about the contamination and the cross-contamination, but also the nutrient content of that. So it's a challenge, and it's something that we're actively working to increase our efficiency around at the moment.
Well, I better try this basil before we come out of here. And Tom starts complaining about the sound. So this is Greg from Agrii. So while we're having a wonderful tour by Georgina in there, in terms of what vertical farming actually is, where potentially we could see it fitting. Will farmers have to adjust it in time to actually start having these built on their farms, for example? Is it going to be almost like a diversification, a different crop, for example, that whether we have chickens, pigs or sheep or whatever, could we foresee this happening on farms?
I think possibly. I think, as you discussed last night in your talk, James, that you have the infrastructure. The buildings are there, the area is there, and then can we integrate these practices into those buildings, and possibly whether it's a rental or whether you take it on yourself as a medium for growing crop. I think there is an opportunity.
And do you think that the crops in which we're growing and people's diets might change from what we've been on the sort of Victorian diet, and we might on that basis will start to have to grow slightly different crops which we would have considered could be out of our reach because of our land type and our climate, but actually this might be a way of us supplementing our incomes with and growing a slightly different diet to meet, we are having an influx of different nationalities who will have slightly different diets and different behaviours, meeting those markets.
I think there's a demand from the public for a diversity of food source and type, isn't there? So if we can fill that void that is there, then I think it's an excellent opportunity. I think if we can reduce food miles, if we can reduce that carbon that's involved in it, then I think that's a positive thing for the industry, the farming as well, isn't it? And it's a positive thing for the public as well.
I did learn from Georgina earlier about the fact that you can make your own perfume. So we could have a Pecky Spice, couldn't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Pecky New Spice. I don't know what smell that would be, but it's funny that Tom's got some, what do they are, Tom? You hang in the car? Air fresheners, yeah, and he wants me to do a sniff test to see at these
Scratch and sniff.
How many have you got? 32. 32? So he wants me
Wow.
to smell 32 air fresheners to see which ones we're going to put on the
Which
shop.
one relates best to...
Yeah. Is there an Old Spice one? Oh no!
Excellent.
Can you
I'm
believe
sure there's
it?
one that smells of sort of diesel.
Yeah.
One of
It smells like a real farmer.
Tires and things. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's interesting coming here and seeing this and sort of almost seeing where the future might go, and whether we sort of dismiss it or not, but there is a change, isn't there, within robotics, with possibilities. I mean, I did pick up the point that there has got some limitation and power. Interestingly, is one of my first thought was Scotland doesn't have solar. Completely dismissed the point about the wind.
Absolutely.
And what you have is plenty of wind, and actually, she pointed out you're more efficient up here in producing renewable energy,
yes.
which is an interesting thing. So, I was thinking Dubai at the time and thinking of the solar angle, but I understand that Tom thinks that's funny because I like to go on holiday to over there.
James is always thinking Dubai.
It was Doha last time. It was Doha, yes. But anyway, that aside, but I wonder where we'll be in 10 years with the speed of this, because actually this is relatively small amount of area taken up because it's gone up. And I'm assuming you can go higher.
12 metres would be our usual.
Right, so they go, this is 6, you said, or 9? 9, so 12 metres north.
Yeah.
So, and then I suppose you could double stack, couldn't you?
The reason that we go at this height is because that's the standard height of the racking. So it means
Okay, so it's a racking limitation. Yeah,
absolutely.
okay. I mean, well, I'm here for you guys doing these talks. Last night we went to a wonderful wedding venue, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And Agrii did presentations on varieties and return on investment, which anything that's got return on investment, I enjoy that, because I think that's where we've got to be.
I think it's essential that we deliver that. The programs that we have, and there's so many options, and we're always chasing yield, aren't we? A big yield is exactly what we need to dilute those costs, but it must be a manageable return on investment for what we do. So our promise to our growers is that we will do the trial work, we will have the data to be able to deliver that to them. Because I'm a huge believer that our job is to be a problem solver to our customers, and we must have the solutions to their problems.
Yeah, and you've also got to be ahead of the thinking, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Because trials, by definition, are always, if not behind.
Absolutely. It's often we're looking backwards, aren't we? We're reviewing the last year. I think we're all aware the only exact science is looking backwards, isn't it? It's hindsight is the only exact science, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But the more robust data set that we can build in all different conditions, the more we can drive manageable decisions that should drive yield and profitability.
And we're here at the moment, we're just below the building, which is the James Hutton Institute, which we're going back into shortly. And I presume that's where I'm speaking tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, in the auditorium.
Yes.
So, what time's that?
That's at 6 o'clock.
Right, okay, so we've got just enough time to go to Glen
Probably got time
Eagles
for a
then.
Diet Coke, probably.
Yeah. So, Greg, just thinking about Agrii's role within British agriculture, because it is, I'm correct in saying that Agrii is in Ireland and Scotland, Wales and England.
Absolutely.
But you're not in Europe, are you?
We are still in Europe, yep.
Oh, I
so we're
didn't
still in
appreciate that.
Poland and Romania.
Okay.
We're still across there, and an ever-growing business across
But
there.
Agrii at the moment is actually investing in producing more trial work and also building greenhouses and things.
Yeah, so at our main trial site at Throws Farm, we've just spent over £2 million on building a glasshouse that allows us to fail quicker. So we basically want to screen products, varieties, plants, and look and see what is the best. Every man and his dog wants to offer us a solution to our problems, but which one is the best and which one returns the best investment to our customers.
And are you also doing work, say, in New Zealand or anywhere like that, where you've got different seasons, according to ours?
Not a huge amount, so we work with some partners to do that, to do some work, but generally we try and keep all the work in-house ourselves.
And how efficient do you think you are at the moment in taking us to the next stage of increasing us by a tonne or 2 tonne a hectare, the 20% that I'm focusing on?
I think the glasshouse will be transformational to that. I think our issue is that, as you know, trial work is very much like farming. We get one season, one opportunity, and that's the results based on what the weather brings to us. Whereas the more things that we control within the glasshouse, kind of multi-seasons, multi-weather, multi-inputs, which will allow us to screen things faster.
I mean, a lot of these individuals that work behind the scenes in farming are unsung heroes, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
So they are made, you know, the role of a farmer. Yes, we got the land, and yes, we put the crop in the ground, but they have created the varieties.
Oh, absolutely.
They've created the technology of us knowing what to spray in chemical terms, etc., the timings. There is a huge raft of an army, isn't there, going across the world doing
and they put
this.
a huge amount of hard work into it, and a lot of man hours goes into it. You know, a lot of it is manual labour, you know, manual recording, manual checking, and that does take a lot. So yeah, these guys deserve the plaudits they get when varieties or products come to the market and are transformational for our customers.
And do you think that within our lifetime, I'd like to think, I know you're younger than me, but not so much younger as I found out, but do you think that we will see big advancements in our careers in terms of yield?
I hope so, yeah. I think we'll see big advancements in technology. I think technology will have a huge part to play in how we actually operate, do our job, record, how we manage the crops. I hope that breeding then allows us to reach that potential. I'm a huge believer that there is a genetic potential in a lot of crops just now that we don't get even halfway close to. So the more that we can learn how to manage those factors that reduce that yield, I think we can achieve greater goals.
Because you could argue, couldn't you, that a lot of the varieties that we're now growing are more susceptible to change in climate change or weather extremes, and are less robust.
Absolutely.
Because we've gone perhaps more towards certain aspects, which you've obviously, you know, been focused on. Do you think we're going to have a reset almost in varieties, or are we just going to keep carrying on as we are?
I think what we look for is a robust, resilient variety. That's the best because it should do on average better throughout the seasons. I think our problem is we breed for yield as the number one characteristic, which is completely right, but then we breed for disease characteristics. Now, we might get those disease one year, we might not. So do we actually get the benefit of that variety? And it's looking at what is the yield potential, taking all those factors out. So yeah, I think there is an opportunity to grow yield and achieve more, but I think the management will become more micro-managed to allow us to get there.
Okay, and the role of the agronomist going forward, with technology changing, can you foresee that over the next sort of 20 years their role might change on the farm?
Oh, hugely. I'm a huge believer that in the next 10 to 15 years, I think we'll see what we kind of call a connected farm, you know, where there's a lot of the data that's gathered will be done remotely. You know, if we can see autonomous drones flying fields instead of field walking, you know, gathering that data, sitting down, analysing that data, looking at it, you know, variable applying nutrient sprays to try and drive yield not only to a field but in field specific areas. And I think that's where the benefit is. You know, you come to an area like this in the vertical farm, you can control everything within that tray, can't you? You know, you can't control everything within a field. And there's so many sub-sectors of a field that will yield in different areas. So can we even out the factors and drive a higher average yield per field?
Do you think taste will start to become a bigger focus in terms of varieties or crops we grow, and the focus is coming down from, say, the supermarkets or from their customers, being the public, saying we want more taste? Actually, we've got the yield, but we've engineered taste away.
Oh, I think we will always be driven by what the public want, won't we? Because we have to produce what they want. I think the supermarkets will drive some of that as well. Will it be taste? I think as long as we can breed that in, and it's how we breed that in. You know, as we know, breeding programs generally just now take a long time. Without genetic modification or gene marking, it takes a long time to do. So, you know, we would have to understand where the future was in that before we started on the journey.
What do you think our biggest risk is over the next 10 years?
The weather has always been a huge risk to us, and the changing weather. I think we see more extremes of weather that we can't manage. So we spoke earlier, how do we manage that? Can we manage water availability, water shortage? You know, we can't do a huge amount about the sunlight out in normal agriculture. So can we breed more resilient varieties? I think
Yeah.
varieties that are bred that can withstand the ups and the downs,
Yeah.
and the highs and the lows will be the ones that generate us the best
So it's
outcome.
all really coming down to the background of the varieties. Yeah,
Absolutely.
interesting. Thank you. 14th of November, we're just driving back from our epic week away. So Saturday we left the farm at 9 a.m. to go to Agritechnica, and Agritechnica back straight up to Norfolk then to the borders into Scotland, and then from Kelso to Dundee. From Dundee we then went to Aberdeen, and now we've driven from Aberdeen this morning. We popped in to break up the journey at Glen Eagles, as you do, and we've had lunch there, met up with Sandy's father, who is on the neighbouring farm, which was very nice. So we've had a steak, and we're now heading back. The clock says we'll be back at 9 p.m. tonight on Friday night, so quite looking forward to seeing my own bed again.
No, you're quite looking forward to see your family, James. You're going to get in trouble for that.
Right, well, thank you for that. I'm very much looking forward to seeing my family and also my bed. And yeah, it's met some brilliant farmers up in Scotland. You know, it's got about 120 people per night on the 3 nights we spoke. And we also did the Savills event on Tuesday morning.
We've got no idea what day it is. It's wake up, get in the car, go to a random Scottish city and crack on. Interestingly, it's only just started to rain now, but apparently it's absolutely hammering it down in Cambridge.
Yeah.
So that's halted play there.
Yeah, the painting and things have stopped. Sandy's just putting some things away, and yeah, we're hopefully come Monday we'll get to find out next week if all the combines fit.
It's tight by the sounds of things. I don't think it's in as of yet. So
I think Gordon will be. I think Gordon's reshuffling things at night when nobody's there to
just spreading them all out a little bit.
Yeah. So I think it's going to look like this week coming we are going to know what the answer is. So fingers crossed.
Then it's
for
pack
me.
the bags again, back on the road.
Yeah.
Come Wednesday, we fly out to somewhere sunnier with a bit of luck.
We presume it's sunny.
I haven't actually looked. One would assume.
Trinidad, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, does it not say on the no-fly zone list or something?
Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure. Luckily, I've done quite well. So if anything does happen and it goes really south,
Yeah.
I'm going with quite a significant landowner and a lord. They're not interested about the lowly cameraman. So when they get held up at gunpoint, I'm being let free.
Tom.
I'll be back. You know what? I'll take your business class flight home.
No, Tom, I think we'll find that you're actually going to be the one who's going to have to take one for the team and go in the cell.
Which reminds me, I do need to check my business insurance as well, actually, on that one.
Anyway, well, thank you ever so much, everybody. It's been a fantastic time in Scotland. Really enjoyed it, and met some wonderful people.
They're probably
Great
subscribed
country.
and watching now.
Well, I hope so. Great country, and farming up here is on another level. It's immaculate. It's really nice to see, and good crops.
And to the comment that said James and I are going to go head to head, we're going to do it.
Okay. Anyway,
Spring drilling
right,
crops.
Now it's time for you to sleep.
Oh.
Thanks ever so much, everybody. All the best. Take care. Bye bye.